Welcome to Breaking Frontiers.
The world does not reward potential. It does not hand out medals for good intentions. You don't get recognized for who you could be. You get recognized for who you've become. And the truth is, until you master yourself, no one is going to pay attention to you. They shouldn't. Why would they? You haven't proven anything yet. See, people walk around demanding respect, recognition, attention. But they haven't done the work to deserve it. They haven't built the discipline, the resilience, the undeniable proof that they are something worth noticing. And that's the hard truth. If you aren't focused on mastering yourself, you'll spend your entire life chasing the approval of others, desperate for acknowledgement that will never come, because deep down, even you know you haven't earned it. So you have to turn inward. You have to be the one who validates yourself first. Not with empty words or hollow affirmations, but with action. Relentless, disciplined action that shapes you into someone unrecognizable from who you used to be. You have to build yourself in silence, in the dark, in the places where no one is watching, because that's where real strength is forged. This is the part most people don't want to hear. They want shortcuts. They want someone to notice them now, to tell them they're special before they've done anything of value. But recognition isn't something you ask for. It's something you attract by becoming undeniable. You don't walk into a room and demand attention. You command it by the sheer force of what you've built yourself into. And that process is painful. It requires sacrifice. It means saying no to distractions, no to comfort, no to the easy way out. It means showing up when you don't feel like it, when every part of you is screaming to quit. But that's exactly where most people fall apart. When it gets hard, that's when they start looking around for validation, for someone to tell them they're doing well, as if external approval is what's going to push them forward. But that's weakness. That's the mindset of someone who will always be a step behind, always waiting for permission to be great. You don't need permission, you need mastery. You need to develop yourself to the point where recognition is inevitable, where people don't just see you, they feel your presence, where you walk into a room and you don't have to say a word because everything about you, the way you carry yourself, the way you move, the way you think, screams excellence. And the irony of it all, by the time you reach that level, you won't even need the recognition anymore. You won't be looking for applause because you'll have built something far more valuable, an unshakable foundation of self-respect, of purpose, of internal validation that no one can take from you. So don't chase the spotlight. Don't beg to be seen. Become so relentless in your pursuit of mastery that the world has no choice but to turn its focus on you. Weakness is not something you're born with, it's something you tolerate. It's the voice in your head that convinces you to take the easy path, to avoid discomfort, to accept a version of yourself that is far less than what you are capable of being. And every time you listen to that voice, you feed it, you let it grow stronger, until one day it becomes so loud, so overwhelming, that you start to believe it is who you are, but it isn't. Weakness is a habit, it's a learned behavior, a product of excuses and avoidance, a slow erosion of your potential through small moments of surrender. You say, I'll start tomorrow, and you weaken yourself. You say, it's not that bad, and you weaken yourself. You allow distraction to consume your time, let fear dictate your choices, and with every concession, you chip away at the strength that could have been yours. And the worst part? Weakness doesn't just sit idly by, it grows, it spreads. The more you allow it in one area of your life, the more it seeps into everything else. You let yourself slack off in one small thing, and suddenly you're slacking off everywhere. You stop pushing yourself in the gym, and soon you're cutting corners at work. You let self-doubt creep into one aspect of your life, and before you know it, it's dictating all of your decisions. So what's the solution? You destroy it completely. You don't negotiate with weakness, you don't entertain it, you don't sit down and have a conversation with it, you rip it out at the root and replace it with something stronger. That means identifying every behavior, every habit, every thought that is keeping you small and eliminating it with extreme prejudice. It means attacking your own excuses with brutal honesty, calling yourself out when you start rationalizing failure. It means recognizing that the part of you that seeks comfort, that avoids struggle, is the same part that will destroy your dreams if you allow it to. And here's the truth most people don't want to hear. Strength isn't something you just stumble upon. It's not something you're magically gifted with one day. It's built, it's forged in suffering, in discomfort, in the moments where you choose to push forward when every fiber of your being is telling you to quit. The strength is what happens when you willingly seek out difficulty, when you deliberately put yourself in situations that force you to grow. This is why adversity is the best thing that can happen to you, because it exposes you. It strips away the illusion of who you think you are and forces you to confront reality. Are you disciplined, or do you just like the idea of discipline? Are you strong, or are you just pretending to be? The truth is found in struggle, in resistance, in hardship. That's where real growth occurs. That's where you develop the kind of resilience that makes you unstoppable. But most people don't want that. They don't want to suffer. They don't want to push through pain, through exhaustion, through doubt. They want shortcuts. They want easy answers. But the path of least resistance leads nowhere worth going. And every time you avoid hardship, every time you shy away from a challenge, you reinforce weakness. So if you want to change, really change, you have to make suffering your ally. You have to actively seek out the things that scare you, the things that challenge you, the things that force you to evolve. You have to wake up every day and ask yourself, what weakness will I destroy today? What part of me will I refuse to tolerate any longer? And then you do it. Without hesitation, without excuses. Because at the end of the day, there are only two choices. You either destroy your weakness, or your weakness destroys you. No one else can walk this path for you. No one else can bear the weight of your choices, your discipline, your sacrifices. And yet, so many people waste their lives looking over their shoulders, constantly measuring themselves against others, as if someone else's progress has anything to do with their own. It's a trap. A distraction, a slow, corrosive poison that pulls you away from the one thing you should be focused on, yourself. Comparison is a thief. It robs you of clarity, of purpose, of the ability to truly commit to your own growth. You see someone else succeed, and instead of being inspired, you feel inadequate. You see someone moving faster than you, and suddenly your own journey feels meaningless. But what are you really comparing? Do you know their struggles? Do you know what they've sacrificed, what they've suffered through to get there? You don't. You only see the outcome, the polished image, the end result of a process you were never a part of. And yet, you let it dictate how you feel about yourself. It's madness. You have your own race to run, your own obstacles to face. And the moment you allow yourself to be consumed by what someone else is doing, you lose sight of your own path. The truth is, no one else is thinking about you as much as you think they are. Everyone is too caught up in their own battles, their own struggles, their own fears. So why waste even a second of your time trying to impress people who are barely paying attention? What matters is what you build, what you overcome, what you become. And that will never be determined by someone else's timeline. Some people rise quickly, others take years. It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that you keep moving, that you refuse to stop, that you continue to shape yourself into something greater than you were yesterday. Because if you spend your life chasing someone else's version of success, you'll wake up one day and realize you've built a life that was never even meant for you. And here's the most brutal truth. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to hand you the life you want. No one is going to push you when you feel like quitting. That's your job. That's your responsibility. And if you can't accept that, if you can't own that, then you'll stay exactly where you are, wondering why nothing ever changes. But the moment you decide to stop looking outward for validation, the moment you stop chasing approval and start focusing on what you control, your discipline, your mindset, your effort, that's when everything shifts. That's when you break free. That's when you finally start living, not for the opinions of others, but for the relentless pursuit of your own potential. So forget the noise, forget the distractions, forget the illusion that someone else's progress diminishes your own. Walk your path with conviction, because at the end of the day, the only person who has to live with the choices you make is you. Your mind is the battleground where every victory or defeat begins. It is the foundation upon which your entire life is built, and yet most people treat it like an afterthought. They allow fear to dictate their decisions. They let self-doubt creep in like a parasite, feeding on their ambitions until there's nothing left. They surrender to their emotions, to their weaknesses, as if they have no control over the way they think, the way they react, the way they move through the world. But that's a lie, a convenient excuse. Because the truth is, you are not powerless. You are not a prisoner of your thoughts. You are their master if you are willing to take control. Everything begins in the mind. Before you ever take action, before you ever change your circumstances, before you ever become something more, you first have to believe that it's possible. You have to condition yourself to reject weakness, to see obstacles as challenges, to embrace suffering as part of the process. But that kind of thinking doesn't just happen. It has to be built, strengthened, reinforced through discipline and effort, day after day, until it becomes unshakable. Most people don't do this. They allow their thoughts to run wild, unchecked like an untrained animal. They entertain negativity, dwell on their failures, convince themselves they are not good enough, not strong enough, not capable enough. And then they wonder why they never succeed, why they keep falling into the same patterns, why their lives never change. But how could they? If your mind is weak, your actions will be weak. If your thoughts are scattered, your life will be chaotic. So you have to take control. You have to rewire your mind, discipline it. Make it an ally rather than an enemy. And the way you do that is simple. You stop feeding it garbage. You stop allowing weakness to dictate your inner dialogue. You stop telling yourself stories about why you can't, why you shouldn't, why it's too hard. You stop indulging in the luxury of self-pity and start replacing it with responsibility, with accountability, with the understanding that every thought you allow to take root in your mind will manifest itself in your actions. And the only way to truly strengthen your mind is to expose it to difficulty, to hardship, to adversity. You don't develop mental toughness by reading about it, by thinking about it, by wishing for it. You develop it by facing resistance and refusing to break, by forcing yourself to do the things you don't want to do, by stepping into discomfort willingly, deliberately, until it no longer controls you. Because the moment you stop seeing difficulty as a threat and start seeing it as an opportunity, you become unstoppable. Most people avoid pain, they avoid struggle. But if you want to rise above the average, if you want to build a mind that cannot be broken, you have to seek it out. You have to deliberately push yourself into the fire, because it is in that fire that you will be forged. It is in those moments where everything in you screams to quit, to give in, to take the easy way out, that your mind is truly tested. And what you do in those moments determines everything. Because life is going to challenge you. It's going to throw everything it has at you. And if you are not mentally prepared, you will fold. You will be crushed under the weight of your own weakness. But if you have built your mind into something unshakable, if you have conditioned yourself to stand firm in the face of adversity, then nothing can break you. So you have a choice. You can continue to allow your thoughts to control you, to keep you weak, to keep you small, or you can take ownership of your mind, sharpen it, strengthen it until it becomes your greatest weapon. Because at the end of the day, the strongest person in the room is not the one with the biggest muscles, the most money, or the loudest voice. It is the one who cannot be broken. Success isn't something you chase, it's something you attract by becoming the kind of person who cannot be ignored. Most people spend their lives trying to get noticed, begging for attention, seeking validation, hoping that someone will recognize their potential and hand them an opportunity. But that's not how it works. The world does not reward those who wish to be seen. It rewards those who make themselves impossible to overlook. And how do you do that? You commit yourself fully to the process of becoming excellent, so good that no one can deny it. You don't ask for recognition. You don't wait for permission. You build yourself into someone whose presence demands respect, whose work speaks louder than words, whose dedication and discipline set them apart from everyone else. Because the truth is, you don't have to promote yourself when your results do it for you. But most people don't operate this way. They want the rewards without the sacrifice. They want to be acknowledged before they've done anything worthy of acknowledgement. They show up inconsistently, half-heartedly, wondering why no one takes them seriously. And that's exactly why they remain invisible, because they haven't put in the relentless effort required to stand out. They haven't built themselves into something undeniable. If you want success, if you want to be respected, if you want to be recognized as someone of value, then you have to stop focusing on what the world thinks of you and start focusing on becoming the kind of person the world cannot ignore. That means dedicating yourself to mastery. That means showing up every single day, regardless of how you feel, regardless of whether anyone is watching. It means honing your skills to the point where your work speaks for itself, where your actions make the noise so you don't have to. And this requires patience. It requires discipline. It requires an unwavering commitment to improvement, even when no one is clapping for you, even when no one acknowledges your efforts. Because the people who make an impact, the ones who truly rise above the rest, are the ones who put in years of unseen work. They don't rush the process. They don't demand immediate results. They grind, they refine, they persist until one day they become so exceptional that ignoring them is no longer an option. This is how success works. It doesn't come to those who wait. It comes to those who prepare so thoroughly, so relentlessly, that opportunity has no choice but to present itself. When it comes to those who have built themselves into something rare, something valuable, something that stands out in a world full of mediocrity. And here's the truth, when you reach that level, you won't need to chase success anymore. It will find you. Opportunities will come to you. People will want to work with you, listen to you, follow you, not because you begged for their attention, but because you became the kind of person who commands it effortlessly. So, stop asking for recognition. Stop waiting for someone to give you permission to succeed. Instead, commit to becoming so undeniably skilled, so disciplined, so exceptional that the world has no choice but to notice. Because when you reach that point, success is no longer a possibility, it's inevitable. Most people quit long before they ever see results. They start with enthusiasm, full of ambition, excitement, but the moment progress slows, the moment things don't go exactly as planned, they start looking for a way out. They convince themselves that maybe it wasn't meant to be, that maybe they don't have what it takes, and so they stop. They let their dreams slip away. Not because they weren't capable, but because they weren't consistent. Consistency is the great separator. It's what divides those who succeed from those who simply talk about success. It's the ability to keep showing up day after day, even when no one is watching, even when nothing seems to be happening, even when doubt creeps in and tells you that you're wasting your time. Because the truth is, no one is going to believe in you at first. No one is going to validate your efforts. No one is going to cheer for you while you're in the trenches, grinding away in obscurity. And that's exactly why most people fail, because they rely on external validation to keep going. They need applause, they need reassurance, they need signs that they're on the right track. But the ones who actually make it, they don't need any of that. They keep moving forward regardless. And that's what makes them unstoppable. They understand that the world only takes notice when the work has already been done, that success isn't something that happens overnight, but something that accumulates brick by brick through years of unseen effort. And while the average person gets impatient, while they look for shortcuts, while they abandon the process the moment it stops being exciting, the truly great ones remain steadfast. This is what you have to internalize if you want to separate yourself from the rest. You have to be willing to embrace the monotony, the grind, the discipline of showing up when there's no immediate payoff. You have to commit to the process with an almost obsessive level of dedication, knowing that one day the world will have no choice but to acknowledge what you've built, but that day is not today. And if you can't handle that, if you can't stay the course without immediate gratification, then you will never reach the level you're aiming for. Because here's the reality. You are not entitled to recognition. You are not entitled to success. You are not entitled to anything you haven't earned. And the only way to earn it is to stay consistent when most people would quit. To keep working when it feels pointless. To keep improving when no one is paying attention. That is what separates the exceptional from the forgotten. And the ones who truly understand this, they don't get discouraged when success takes time. They don't feel sorry for themselves when the world overlooks them. They recognize that every single day of discipline, every moment of struggle, every setback, every failure is simply part of the process. They trust that if they keep going, keep refining, keep getting better, eventually their time will come. And when it does, people will call them lucky. They will assume it happened suddenly. They won't see the years of sacrifice, the early mornings, the late nights, the moments of doubt that had to be fought through. But you will know that you stayed the course when others faltered. You will know that you earned every bit of success that finally comes your way. So let the world doubt you. Let them overlook you. Let them ignore you. It doesn't matter, because if you stay consistent long enough, they won't be able to ignore you forever. You said, please write a conciliation of overall speech. ChatGPT said, at the end of it all, the path forward is clear. Focus on yourself until you become undeniable. Master yourself before seeking recognition, because no one will take you seriously until you prove that you take yourself seriously. Destroy your weaknesses and cultivate strength, because the world does not reward fragility. It rewards those who have sharpened themselves into something formidable. Walk your own path with conviction, free from the distractions of comparison, because no one else can live your life for you. Develop a mindset so unshakable that no circumstance, no failure, no setback can break you. Become so skilled, so disciplined, so exceptional that success has no choice but to find you. And most of all, stay consistent long after the excitement fades, long after the motivation wears off, until the world has no choice but to take notice. This is how you rise. This is how you transform. Not through luck, not through shortcuts, but through relentless, disciplined effort. The world will not hand you what you want. It will not carve a path for you. But if you commit fully, if you refuse to stop, if you dedicate yourself to becoming the strongest version of yourself, then in time you will stand among those who refused to be ignored.